Hey guys, and welcome to another War Room. In Romans chapter 5 verse 10 it says, "For since our friendship with God was restored by the death of his son, which is Jesus, while we were still enemies, while we hated God, he sent his son." And it says, "We will certainly be saved through the life of his son." So the whole point of Jesus coming was to make our lives less of a mess. Let's go in even deeper. So my brother he lied about how much the mess was. Just like we lie to ourselves about how bad our lives really is, how bad our decisions really are, how bad what we're doing really is. We lie to ourselves and we play it down. And once we actually let God pull back the blinds and say, this is a lot more than you were making it out to be, a lot more than we make it out to be to other people and stuff like that, because we post the perfect Instagram pictures and our snap stories make it look like we have the best life ever and our relationships are perfect and we never make mistakes, and how the different ways that we live our life aren't that bad because we're having fun and look, we're smiling. But we play down a lot of the mess that our lives are, and then when everything is exposed in the open, then we try to pick it up ourselves. But God knows, I got it, because you're just gonna smear it around. You're not gonna be able to fix your life yourself. That's why the biggest lie in the church is that Satan just propels his guilt. So you don't want to come because you want to be good enough to be able to come to church, but nobody will ever be good enough, not even the highest bishop or preacher or whatever will ever be good enough to just come to God. You just have to come as you are. And Satan will propel the lie that you can't, that you got it, and you're just not really picking up anything. You're just smearing the mess around. I'm sorry about the graphics, guys, but that's how bad, and sometimes even worse, that our lives is. We're just smearing it around and it's not really picking anything up. We're just moving it to different places. We just have a life full of just landfills where we just put the trash in one place away from where everybody can see it, but it's still stinking and it's piling up and it's not really going anywhere. And God was just like, let me help you. You go rest, I got you. You go rest, I got you. Even when Jesus was on the cross dying and people were just mocking him, he said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And that's just, oh my gosh, that just tells you how much he loves us. That while we were still enemies, he was dying on the cross. He was dying the worst death possible. I'm not even gonna go into the details of how bad crucifixion is, but he was dying and they were mocking him, and he said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." He, even in his pain and his exhaustion, he still had this love for us that he said, "Forgive them, because they know not what they do." They don't know, they don't understand. And that just shows you how much he loves you and how much he just wants to clean up your mess. And I'm going to leave you with this last verse, and then I'm going to say something, and then I'm going to cut off. In Romans 5:20 it says, "God's law was given so that all people could see how sinful they were. But as people sinned more and more, God's wonderful grace became more and more abundant." So that just shows you that God didn't just make the law so he could show us how bad we were and then just leave us there. He showed us the law so we could get better. He showed us our mess and he was just like, that needs to be fixed. Let me fix it. That's why he made the law. That's why. So he can show us, this is the problem here. This is what's separating you from me. I want to help you fix it. And just until you can get to the point, which we never will in these earthly bodies, get to the point where we can be perfect. But he said, until you get to the point, my grace will be abounding. Every time you fall down, my grace will be abounding, because you have accepted my son into your heart. You have accepted my spirit as a guide for your life, because it's not perfect. You're not gonna be perfect in this skin. You're not gonna be perfect, but can you try? Absolutely. In Romans chapter 6 verse 1 it says, "Well then, should we keep on sinning so that God can show us more of his wonderful grace? Of course not. Since we have died to sin, how can we continue to live in it?" There's a difference between sinning every now and again and deliberately sinning and being like, oh, God's got it covered. There's a difference between that. God will leave you to your reprobating mind. He'll leave you to it. And you can't just go to church on the week and then come back and be like, and come back during the week and do whatever you want. Because David said in Psalms, God doesn't require sacrifice. He requires a contrite heart, a broken and a contrite heart. That means like he requires a heart that is willing to love God and willing to say, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, and I'm repentant of it. It does not mean that you're not going to make the mistakes on the same sin over and over again, because sin is an addiction, but it does mean that you're going to be trying and you're going to be saying, God, take this because I can't endure it. God, lead me away from this temptation because I can't endure it. It's being actively putting yourself in a place where God can work on you, because it's not, like I said, you're not going to become a super Christian overnight, but you also have to get yourself out of certain situations. And sometimes you can't physically get yourself out of certain situation, but you can mentally and spiritually get yourself out of situations. You can change the atmosphere that you're in, because the same spirit that was in Jesus that raised him from the dead is the same spirit that's in us. So when we resurrect with Christ, we die to sin. So we just need to realize that we can come out of that. Abraham, the father of the Israelites, the father of us, even, because we gain that gift, and that the gift that is salvation through his lineage, through Christ. He even came out of a family that was idolatrous. Like, his father made idols. He came out of that setting. So if we can allow God to take us out of the settings that we're in, he can make so much fruit from where we are. We just need to allow him to clean up the mess that is our lives. Let's pray. Another day, thank you for bringing your children together. Thank you for allowing us to see how much you love us, that even when we were enemies, even when we hated you, you still sent your son to die on the cross for us, because you loved us that much. And you've always loved us that much. It's just been sin that's been blocking and had the rift between our relationship. But you sent your son so he could be that bridge, and nobody can get to you except through your son. He's that bridge. He's the only bridge. All the other bridges are burned. He's the only one that we can walk across and enter into your love and your salvation. Help us to be able to respect our relationship with you and thrive in it, and be an example to those around us. Please help us to draw near and closer to you. In Yeshua's name, amen. We all have a great week. If you guys need any advice, just put it in the comments below, and some of you guys know me, so you can just message me directly. Yeah, have a great week, guys. Hey guys, I hope you liked the video. If it meant something to you, hit the like button. If you want to see more videos like these, go ahead and subscribe. And to keep the message of the good news going, go ahead and share this video. Have a nice day.